Hi, it's Exploring John, and today we're going to look at Darkesville and the Civil War. On June 17th, 1861, Jackson's entire brigade left Winchester and camped at Darkesville and Bunker Hill. He had 8 cavalry companies and 18,000 infantry troops. The next day, they marched to Martinsburg. On June 3rd, Jackson fell back to Darkesville, joining up with General Johnston, who had 12,000 troops. Johnston's camp was at the southern end of Darkesville. His troops were deployed north of town. The different fields had different companies assigned to them. From his headquarters in Darkesville, General Johnston, on July 4th, 1861, wrote a letter recommending promotions for Colonel Andrew Jackson to Brigadier General and Lieutenant Colonel Jeb Stuart to Colonel. On July 6, having received word of a large force of Union troops advancing, Johnston set up a line of battle at Darkesville. With 15,000 men and 22 cannons, Johnston's forces waited for the Union attack. Their pickets were driven in at 5 a.m. The Union never advanced on their position, and the Confederate troops were soon dismissed to cook their supper. On July 7th, the troops formed up and marched south. They camped 3 miles north of Winchester. On September 7th, 1862, the Confederates drove in the pickets outside of Martinsburg. The Union troops responded. They sent 8 companies and a section of artillery down the pike. They formed a column and charged the Confederates, who retreated to Darkesville. The Confederates set their line up there on the south side of the creek. They held their line for a while, firing volley after volley toward the Union troops. The Union charged the Confederate line, causing them to retreat to Winchester and beyond, with the Yankees right behind them. Around noon on October 9th, Jeb Stuart assembled 1,800 hand-picked men in Darkesville. He was given a mission to push up through Maryland into Pennsylvania toward Chambersburg. Stuart moved north through Hedgesville and crossed the Potomac at McCoy's Ferry. On December 11th, Lieutenant R.G. Pendergast and his men moved to Martinsburg. Pendergast decided to attack the Confederate picket south of town. 4 miles below Martinsburg, they found 2 mounted sentries. Charging forward, they met the 7th Virginia Cavalry with 40 men. They were resting around an old brick house near an intersection. The 7th jumped up, mounted their horses, and headed toward Darkesville. The Confederates reformed their lines on the south side of Darkesville. The Union cavalry pushed through town, and the Confederates fell back to Bunker Hill. On July 6, 1863, the defeated Confederate army from Gettysburg began passing through Darkesville. By the middle of June 1864, Confederate troops were camped around Darkesville in preparation of a major push into the north by General Early. On July 3rd, General Breckinridge advanced up the pike toward Bunker Hill and Darkesville. The Union's advance guard near Bunker Hill fell back to the main line of 600 cavalrymen near Darkesville. General Gillmore was way ahead of the Confederate infantry and was ordered to amuse the Union troops until the 9th Louisiana Sharpshooters could arrive to support him. Union General Sigel, in the face of the Confederate advance, dismounted his troops and positioned them behind a rock outbreak in heavy woods. Gillmore attacked and was surprisingly repulsed and fell back to within a mile of Bunker Hill. The 9th Louisiana came up and advanced to a wheat field. Gillmore pressed forward, and charged the Union troops, driving them back. The Union troops reformed their lines, and Gilmore charged again. The Confederate column arrived, and the Union troops were pushed out of Darkesville and back up the pike. General Breckinridge celebrated the 4th of July in Martinsburg. In August 1864, Confederate Army lines were from its left flank at Bunker Hill to its right flank at Brucetown, Virginia. The advanced mounted guards up the pike reached Darkesville and Big Spring. On September 2nd, Union cavalry met the Confederate advance guard at Big Spring. They attacked and pushed them back to Bunker Hill. The Union cavalry then fell back and set their battle line a mile north of Darkesville. The Union camp was a half-mile south of Darkesville at the edge of a wooded area. It extended on both sides of the pike. There was a low ridge at a right angle to the pike 500 yards away. The Union forces built a fortification out of rail fences on top of it. 2 regiments with Spencer rifles defended it. Gilmore, with the 18th Virginia Cavalry, mounted the attack. There were 3 narrow fields that they had to cross. Coming under fire, they marched across the first field. They tore down the first fence and reformed. They advanced at the double step across this field, reaching the fence, tore it down, and reformed again. So far, they only lost 6 men. The 18th started at a march, then double step, finally a charge. After leaving the last fence, the 18th came under heavy fire. When Gilmore's Confederates closed to 50 yards, the Union cavalry ran for their horses and were in full retreat. Gilmore's forces chased them through Darkesville, taking 40 prisoners. At noon, a Union division of 3,500 men moved forward. They were on both sides of the pike and extended a great distance. They were on high ground, a quarter-mile north of Darkesville. Gilmore could see them clearly as there was little vegetation between the Union's position and Darkesville. Gilmore withdrew his forces south of Darkesville and reformed his line. Artillery opened up on them, forcing Gilmore to fall back. After the fighting at Bunker Hill, the Union troops fell back to Darkesville and made camp. On September 10th, another skirmish took place at Darkesville. After Sheridan defeated the Confederates at Cedar Creek, the Union remained in control of Berkeley County for the rest of the war.
Okay, load. Loaded. Loaded, come to your shoulder. A lot loaded or something wrong with you. Get right. Hold. Get fired. Get fired. Shoot.
That was our coverage of Darkesville and the Civil War. See you next time.
Forward. 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 March.